All week, my wife insisted on one thing: wear that watch to the party. I sensed a trap, so I came without it and gave it to her brother. When he entered the hall, she ran to him shouting, "Take it off now." What happened next shocked all the guests. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments what city you're watching us from. It all began on a Tuesday night. I'd just gotten home from work when Elena appeared in the living room with a small box in her hands. We'd been married for 12 years. 12 years in which I thought I knew her completely. I thought I knew every gesture, every pause, every look. But that night, when I opened that box, something changed. It was a silver watch, black leather strap, large face, elegant, expensive, too expensive for a gift with no apparent reason. Our anniversary party was on Saturday, but that was still 5 days away. I thanked her. I said, "It's beautiful, Elena." "Thank you." She smiled, but it wasn't a normal smile. It was a smile that was too wide, too fixed. "I want you to wear it to the party," she told me. "It'll match your gray suit perfectly." I nodded. Of course I'll wear it. I put the box away thinking that would be the end of it. I was wrong. The next day, during breakfast, Elena mentioned it again. "Don't forget to wear the watch on Saturday," she said as she poured me coffee. I looked up. "I already told you yes, Elena." "I know, I just want to make sure. It's important to me." There was something in her tone, something that wasn't a simple request. It sounded almost like a plea or an order disguised as a plea. On Thursday, she mentioned it again, this time while we were watching TV. "Roberto, you're going to wear the watch, right?" I turned to her. "Yes, Elena, I've told you 3 times already. I just want you to look perfect." After 12 years, we deserve a special night. Her hand was gripping the remote control too tightly. Her knuckles white, her jaw tense. "Is everything okay?" I asked her. "Yes, everything's fine. Just promise me you'll wear it." "I promise." But my stomach twisted when I said those words. On Friday morning, I found the watch on my nightstand. I had left it in the drawer. Now it was there, impossible to ignore, shining in the light from the window. Elena came in while I was getting dressed. "Have you tried it on yet?" she asked me. "Not yet." "You should try it on. Make sure it fits well, that it works correctly." I looked at her. "Elena, it's a watch." "Of course it works. Just try it on, please." There was an urgency in her voice. Too much urgency. "I'll do it later," I told her. She stood in the doorway, motionless, staring at me. She didn't say anything else for several seconds. She just watched me with an intensity that gave me goosebumps. That afternoon at the office, I couldn't concentrate. Carla, my coworker, came over to my desk. "What's wrong with you? You've been staring at the screen all afternoon without doing anything." I told her about the watch, about Elena's insistence, about that strange feeling I couldn't shake. Carla laughed. "Oh, Roberto, you're exaggerating. My husband's the same before important events. Elena just wants you to look good." "It's not just that. It's the way she says it, the frequency. It's obsessive. All women are like that with details." "Relax." I wanted to believe her. I really wanted to believe her. But that night, when I got home, Elena asked me a question that left me frozen. "Roberto, do you sweat a lot when you're nervous?" I looked at her, not understanding. "What?" "Just curious. I want to know if the leather of the watch will bother your skin. Some materials cause irritation with sweat." It sounded logical, rational, but there was something in her expression, something calculated, as if she were evaluating my response too carefully. "No, I don't usually sweat that much," I told her. She nodded slowly and then asked me something stranger. "Still, do you have any allergies I don't know about?" I laughed nervously. "Elena, we've been together for 12 years. If I had any major allergies, you know by now." "None, not even a mild one." "Well, years ago I mentioned that a cheap metal bracelet made me itch once, but that was a long time ago." "Why do you ask?" Her face lit up for a second, as if I'd given her valuable information. "I just want to be sure," she said quickly. "I don't want anything to ruin our special night." But the way she said it, the way her eyes gleamed when I mentioned that old allergy, sent a chill down my spine. That night, I couldn't sleep well. I tossed and turned in bed thinking about Elena's questions, her insistence, the way she had watched me when I answered about the allergy. On Saturday morning, the day of the party, Elena was strangely calm, too calm. She moved around the house with an artificial calmness. She made breakfast, organized the final details, and every 30 minutes or so, she mentioned the watch. Did you take the watch out of the drawer? Did you clean it? Are you sure it works? Are you going to put it on before we leave or at the venue? The pressure was constant, subtle, but constant, like water dripping on my head. And then, while she was in the shower, I took the watch, I looked at it closely, turned it over in my hands, held it up to the light, ran my fingers over the leather strap, over the inside of the buckle. I didn't see anything strange, just a normal, elegant, expensive watch, completely ordinary. But my gut was screaming that something was wrong. I had no proof, no logical reasons, just a feeling in my stomach that got stronger every time I looked at that damn watch, and I made a decision. That afternoon, while I was getting dressed for the party, I left the watch on the dresser. I put on my old Seiko, the one my father gave me, the one I'd worn for years. Elena came out of the bathroom, wrapped in her cream-colored robe. She saw me in front of the mirror. Her gaze dropped to my wrist. Her expression changed completely. "Where's the watch?" she asked me. Her voice was tense, controlled, but tense. I forgot it. I already have my usual watch on. "Roberto, please put the other one on. It's important. I'm already ready." "Like this, Elena, please, it means a lot to me, please." There was desperation in her voice. Real desperation. "Why is a watch so important?" I asked, looking at her intently. She opened her mouth, closed it, took a deep breath, because it was very hard for me to find the perfect one for you, because I want a night to be special. "Why?" The doorbell rang. The first guests were arriving. Elena looked at me with a mix of frustration and something else. Something I couldn't identify then. Something like fear. "Fine," she said finally. "Wear whichever one you want." But her voice sounded defeated, dull. She turned around and went to get dressed without another word. I stood there in front of the mirror, looking at my reflection, wondering if I'd just avoided something terrible or if I was just becoming paranoid. I didn't know it then, but I was about to find out. The party began like any other anniversary celebration. The room was decorated with warm lights, elegant tables, white and purple flowers everywhere. Elena had hired a catering service that served canapes and glasses of champagne, soft music in the background, polite conversations, laughter. Everything seemed perfect, but I couldn't relax. Elena moved among the guests with a fixed smile on her face. She greeted, hugged, thanked each person for coming. But every time our eyes met, I saw something in hers, something cold, something resentful. I approached her when she was alone by the gift table. "Are you okay?" I asked in a low voice. "Perfectly," she replied without looking at me. "Why wouldn't I be okay?" "I don't know. You seem tense." She finally looked at me. "I'm fine, Roberto. Enjoy the party." She walked away before I could say anything else. Carla arrived with her husband, Enrique. They came over to greet me with big smiles. "Congratulations," said Carla, hugging me. 12 years. That's quite an achievement. "Thanks for coming." Enrique clapped me on the shoulder. "You look good. Buddy, that suit fits you perfectly." "Thanks." Carla leaned in and whispered in my ear. "You got over the watch paranoia yet?" I laughed nervously. "Yeah, I guess you were right. But I wasn't sure about that." The minutes passed, more guests arrived. The music got a little louder. People started to dance. I tried to look relaxed, but my eyes were constantly searching for Elena. I saw her moving from one side to the other, talking to everyone, but looking at the entrance of the room every few minutes, as if she were waiting for someone. And then I saw him. Rodrigo, Elena's brother, walked into the room, tall, about 35 years old, always with that carefree smile that characterized him. He was wearing a black suit, white shirt. He looked good. He greeted a few people he knew as he walked towards us. And then I noticed it. On his left wrist, something silver was gleaming. My watch, the watch I'd left on the dresser. I felt the air leave my lungs. Rodrigo came over smiling. "Little sister, brother-in-law. Congratulations on 12 years. He hugged Elena. She stood stiff in his arms. Completely stiff. Rodrigo said in a strange voice, "When did you get here?" "About an hour ago. I stopped by your house first because I forgot my watch at the hotel. I saw this on your dresser and thought Roberto had forgotten it. So I borrowed it. I hope you don't mind." "Brother-in-law." He showed me his wrist proudly. "It's an incredible watch. Where did you buy it?" I couldn't answer because I was looking at Elena, and Elena was looking at the watch on her brother's wrist as if she'd just seen a ghost. Her face had lost all its color, completely white as a sheet. Her lips parted slightly, her eyes widened, and her hands started to tremble. "Elena, are you okay?" Rodrigo asked, touching her shoulder. She didn't answer. She just kept staring at the watch. Paralyzed, Elena, Rodrigo insisted, "What's wrong with you?" And then she reacted, but not in the way anyone expected. She grabbed Rodrigo's wrist tightly. Too tightly. "Why are you wearing it?" she asked with a trembling voice. "Why did you put on that watch?" Rodrigo laughed, confused. "I already told you. I saw it at your house," and thought Roberto. "Take it off," Elena interrupted him. Her voice grew louder. Several people nearby turned to look. "What?" Rodrigo was still smiling, but now uncomfortably. "Take it off right now," Elena repeated. Her hand were trying to unfasten the watch buckle. "Take it off. Take it off your wrist." "Elena, calm down," Rodrigo said, taking a step back. "It's just a watch." But she didn't calm down. She followed him. She chased him. She tried to rip the watch from his wrist while repeating over and over, "Take it off, please, take it off." The music stopped. All the guests fell silent, watching the scene. I quickly approached. "Elena, what's going on?" She looked at me, and in her eyes I saw panic. Absolute panic. "It wasn't supposed to be him," she whispered. "It wasn't supposed to be him." Rodrigo finally took off the watch. Okay, I'm taking it off." "Calm down." He handed it to Elena with his hands up, as if he were surrendering a weapon. Elena took the watch, held it in her trembling hands, and then did something that made my blood run cold. She threw it on the floor with force. The crystal shattered, the face came off. Small pieces flew across the wooden floor. The silence in the room was deafening. "Elena," I said, approaching her, "what the hell is wrong with you?" But before she could answer, Rodrigo made a strange sound, a gasp. I turned to him. He was scratching his wrist hard with his nails, leaving red marks on his skin. "It itches," he said. "It itches like crazy." And then I saw it. The skin around his wrist, where the watch had been, was starting to turn red. It wasn't a normal red. It was an intense, inflamed red, like a burn. "Rodrigo, what's wrong with you?" asked Carla, getting closer. "I don't know. It started itching a few minutes ago, but now it burns." He kept scratching. Harder. The skin was starting to peel under his nails. Elena backed away. She was still pale, but now there was something else in her expression. Horror, pure horror. "How long have you had it on?" she asked him in a choked voice. "I don't know, about 40 minutes. "Why 40 minutes?" Elena repeated, and then she brought her hands to her mouth. Rodrigo's skin kept getting worse. Now, there were areas that were starting to swell. Small blisters were forming around his wrist. "I need water," Rodrigo said. It burns so much." Enrique ran to the bathroom to get water. Carla was trying to calm Rodrigo down. I was looking at Elena, and Elena was looking at her brother's wrist with tears in her eyes. "It wasn't for you," she whispered. "It wasn't for you, Rodrigo. It wasn't for you." Rodrigo started to sweat. Huge drops were falling down his forehead. His breathing quickened. I can't breathe well," he said, putting his hand on his chest. And then he stumbled. Carla caught him before he fell. "Someone call an ambulance." Several guests took out their phones. I went up to Elena and grabbed her arm. Hard. "What did you do?" I asked through gritted teeth. "What the hell did you do, Elena?" She looked at me with her eyes full of tears. I didn't want to." "It wasn't for him," Roberto repeated. "It wasn't for him. Who was it for then?" But I didn't need her to answer, because at that moment, looking at her devastated face, looking at her brother who was now struggling to breathe on the floor, looking at the broken watch at our feet, I understood everything. The watch was for me. That whole week of insistence. All those strange questions, it had all been to make sure I wore that watch. And something in that watch was designed to hurt me. "You," I said, letting her go as if she were burning. "You did something to that watch." Elena shook her head, but her tears betrayed her. "I didn't. I just..." Rodrigo coughed hard. His face was starting to turn a strange color. Reddish, swollen. "The ambulance is on its way," someone shouted. But I kept looking at Elena, and Elena kept looking at her brother, the brother who had taken my place. The brother who was now paying the price for what she had planned for me. I knelt beside Rodrigo. His breathing was getting more and more difficult. It sounded as if the air had to pass through a narrow tunnel to reach his lungs. Wheezing, forced, terrifying. "Easy, man," I said, trying to stay calm. "The ambulance is coming." But Rodrigo didn't seem to hear me. His eyes were darting back and forth, disoriented. His hand was still scratching his wrist, now with less force. As if the pain was so intense, he couldn't even touch it. The skin around where the watch had been was no longer just red. It was a mix of intense red, purple, and white. The blisters had grown. Some had burst, leaving clear fluid that trickled down his arm. Carla was next to me with her phone in her hand, talking to the emergency operator. "Yes, it's a severe allergic reaction. His skin is very inflamed. He's having trouble breathing. Please, hurry." Enrique had brought wet towels and was trying to cool Rodrigo's wrist, but he writhed in pain every time something touched his skin. "No, don't touch me there," Rodrigo shouted. It burns like fire." I got up and walked over to where Elena was. She was still standing, motionless, her hands covering her mouth. Tears streamed down her cheeks, ruining her makeup. I took her by the arm and dragged her to a corner of the room, away from the others. "Tell me what you did," I ordered in a low but firm voice. "Tell me now, Elena. It might help the doctors." She shook her head over and over. I didn't think, Elena. Your brother is dying over there. What did you put on the watch?" "I didn't put anything on the watch," she sobbed. It was the strap. The inside of the strap. What did you put on the strap?" She closed her eyes. More tears fell. Concentrated nickel extract, mixed with a synthetic resin. I researched your allergy. That time you mentioned it years ago. I looked online for how to enhance an allergic reaction to metal. I found forums. Instructions. I bought the components from different places so no one would suspect. I felt like I couldn't breathe. "You were going to poison me." "It's not poison," she said quickly. "It was just going to cause you an allergic reaction, a strong reaction. Enough to need hospitalization. But it wasn't going to kill you. I swear, Roberto, I didn't want to kill you." "And what did you hope to achieve with that?" Elena swallowed hard. Her voice came out broken. "I have debts. A lot of debts. $200, 000 on credit cards. Loans I can't pay. And you have that life insurance you signed last year, the one that covers permanent disability." Also, I stared at her, unable to believe what I was hearing. "You plan to disable me to collect the insurance. Not permanently, just enough for it to be recorded, for the doctors to document damage. A severe reaction with long-term consequences. The insurance would pay out for temporary disability $150, 000 enough to cover my debts. And in what? Just sit back while I suffered. You never give me access to your money," she suddenly exploded. "Always controlling everything. Always checking every expense. I feel like a child asking for permission. I needed a way out. I needed to solve this on my own. I couldn't process what I was hearing. This woman with whom I had shared 12 years of my life. This woman I had loved. This woman had planned to physically harm me for money. "You're sick," I told her. "You're completely sick, Elena. You don't understand," she shouted. "The collectors call me every day. They threaten me. I'm going to lose everything. And you never notice anything. Always so busy with your work, so calm in your routine. While I'm drowning in debts, trying to maintain this perfect life you expect from me. I never asked you for a perfect life. I asked you for honesty. Honesty doesn't pay the bills." A shout interrupted our conversation. It was Rodrigo. His face was completely swollen now. His lips had doubled in size. His eyelids were so inflamed, he could barely open his eyes. "I can't breathe," he said between gasps. I can't. Carla was kneeling beside him, holding his head. "They're coming. Hang on, Rodrigo, they're coming." Elena broke free from my grip and ran to her brother. She knelt beside him. "Rodrigo, forgive me. Please forgive me. It wasn't for you. It wasn't for you." Rodrigo looked at her with those swollen, confused eyes. What did you do?" "Forgive me," Elena repeated, stroking his hair. "Forgive me, little brother, forgive me." Enrique looked at me from the other side of Rodrigo. His expression was a mix of confusion and horror. Can someone please explain to me what the hell is going on here? He asked. Before I could answer, the doors to the room burst open. Two paramedics rushed in with an emergency kit and a folding stretcher. Step aside, please, one of them ordered. We all moved back, giving them space. The paramedics knelt beside Rodrigo and quickly began to assess him. Severe allergic reaction. Anaphylaxis in progress, one of them said to his partner. Prepare the epinephrine. The other paramedic took a syringe from his kit, removed the cap, and jabbed it into Rodrigo's thigh without a second's hesitation. Rodrigo gasped. His body tensed for a moment. Easy, buddy. This is going to help you breathe, said the paramedic, holding his shoulder. A few seconds passed that felt like an eternity. Rodrigo's breathing was still labored, but it gradually began to sound less forced, less desperate. What caused the reaction? The first paramedic asked, looking around. Did he eat something? Did an insect bite him? It was a watch, I said, pointing to the scattered remains on the floor. He was wearing that watch. The paramedic approached the fragments, picked up the leather strap with a towel so as not to touch it directly. He examined it under the light. There's something on the inside of the strap. Something shiny, metallic, he said, showing it to his partner. Nickel? Asked the other. Looks like it, but there's more. Some kind of resin or adhesive. This isn't accidental. The two paramedics looked at each other, then at Rodrigo, then at us. We need to take this to the hospital for analysis, said the first one, putting the strap in a plastic bag. And the police will probably want to talk to you. The police. The word dropped like a bomb in the room. Elena shot up. No, wait, it was an accident. I didn't know he was going to wear the watch. I didn't. Ma'am, calm down, said the paramedic. Right now our priority is to stabilize the patient. Between the two of them, they lifted Rodrigo and placed him on the stretcher. He was still conscious, but barely his eyes were slowly opening and closing. Elena tried to get closer to the stretcher, but I stopped her. No, I said firmly. You've done enough. She looked at me with a mix of pleading and desperation. Roberto, please, he's my brother. I need to go with him. Your brother almost died because of you, because of something you planned to do to me. The guests still in the room began to murmur among themselves. Broken phrases, whispered questions. The scandal was spreading like fire. The paramedics took Rodrigo away. The doors of the room closed behind them, and we were all left there in the uncomfortable silence, surrounded by party decorations that now seemed like a mockery. Carla came up to me. Roberto, what just happened? Elena, really, I couldn't finish hearing her question because at that moment, two police officers walked in. One of them, a man in his 40s with a serious expression, looked around the room until his eyes landed on me. Who's the host of the party? He asked. I am, I replied, Roberto Mendez. The paramedics informed us of a possible assault with intent to cause harm. We're going to need everyone to stay here while we take statements. The other, younger officer took out a notebook. Elena was still standing next to me, trembling, crying silently. And I realized that our life, as we knew it, had just ended. The younger officer began taking names from everyone present. His partner, who introduced himself as Sergeant Agustin Morales, motioned for me to follow him to a separate area of the room. Mr. Mendez, I need you to explain exactly what happened here, he said, taking out his own notebook. I took a deep breath. I didn't even know where to start. How do you summarize a week of strange insistence? How do you explain that your wife had planned to slowly poison you with a watch? My wife gave me a watch a week ago. I began. She insisted for days that I wear it today at the party. Something seemed strange to me, so I decided not to wear it. Her brother borrowed it without anyone knowing, and well, you saw what happened. Sergeant Morales was writing quickly. Why did it seem strange to you? The way she insisted wasn't normal. It was obsessive. She asked me weird things about if I sweat a lot, if I had allergies. And then, when she saw her brother with the watch on, she panicked. She tried desperately to take it off him. That's when I knew something was wrong with that watch. And your wife admitted to tampering with the watch. I swallowed, looked over at where Elena was. She was still standing, surrounded by guests who were looking at her with a mix of curiosity and disgust. Carla had gone over to talk to her, but Elena wasn't answering, just staring at the floor. Yes, I finally said. She told me, she put something on the strap. Concentrated nickel, mixed with a synthetic resin. She knew I had a mild allergy to metal, and she enhanced it. For what purpose? There was the question I didn't want to answer. The question that made all of this even more pathetic. She has debts, $200,000. She wanted me to have a severe allergic reaction so she could collect on my disability insurance. $150,000. Sergeant Morales stopped writing and looked at me directly. You're telling me your wife tried to disable you for money? That's exactly what I'm telling you. He nodded slowly. I'm going to need to speak with her. Can you ask her to come over? I walked toward Elena. All eyes in the room followed me. The murmur of conversations stopped as I stood in front of her. The police want to talk to you, I said, my voice devoid of emotion. She looked up. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying so much. Roberto, I don't want to hear it. Elena, you've said enough. Go with the officer. She walked towards Sergeant Morales with slow, shuffling steps. She seemed to have aged 10 years in the last hour. Carla came up to me. Is it true? Did she really plan to hurt you? Yes. Oh my God, Roberto, I can't believe it. You guys seem so normal. I laughed without humor. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Enrique joined us. You need anything, man? Water, want to sit down? I'm fine. I just want this to be over. But it wasn't going to be over soon. I could see it in the way Sergeant Morales spoke to Elena and how she shook her head, and how he pointed towards the remains of the watch that were still on the floor in an evidence bag the other officer had collected. 20 minutes passed, then 30. The guests started to leave. Some said goodbye with awkward hugs. Others just slipped away silently. No one knew what to say. What do you say at an anniversary party that ends with a foiled murder attempt? Finally, Sergeant Morales came back to me. Elena stayed behind, now sitting in a chair with the other officer beside her. Mr. Mendez, your wife has admitted to tampering with the watch with the intent to cause you harm, the sergeant said. That constitutes attempted aggravated assault. We're going to have to arrest her. The words hung in the air. Arrest her. My wife was going to be arrested. And what happens now? I asked. You'll have to press formal charges if you wish to proceed legally. Also, Mr. Rodrigo Vega, your wife's brother, can press charges for being the direct victim of the assault. Do you know which hospital they took him to? No, they left about 40 minutes ago. I'll find out. In the meantime, is there anything else you'd like to add to your statement? I thought about everything that happened, the signs I ignored, the times I felt something was wrong, but convinced myself I was exaggerating. How my gut instinct saved my life. Just one thing I said. I wanted on the record that if I had worn that watch as she wanted, I would be the one in the hospital right now. Or worse. The sergeant nodded. That will be noted in the report. He walked away to speak with his partner. I saw them walk toward Elena. She watched them approach as if she were watching her own execution. The younger officer took out a pair of handcuffs. Mrs. Elena Vega de Mendez, you're under arrest for attempted aggravated assault. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you can't afford one will be appointed to you. Do you understand your rights? Elena nodded wordlessly. Tears started streaming down her face again as the officer placed the handcuffs on her wrists. She looked at me one last time. Roberto, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't answer. There was nothing to say. The officers led her towards the exit. She walked with her head down. Some of the last remaining guests watched her pass. Their whispers filled the silence. Did you see that? I can't believe it. Poor man. And to think they seemed so happy. The doors closed behind them, and suddenly I was alone in the empty room. Well, almost empty. Carla and Enrique were still there, looking at me with concern. We're not going to leave you alone, Carla said, approaching. Come to our house. You can stay tonight. No, I need to go to the hospital. I need to see how Rodrigo is. Then we'll take you, said Enrique. You shouldn't be driving in this state. He was right. My hands were shaking. My mind was a chaos of conflicting emotions. Rage, betrayal, relief at having escaped, guilt because Rodrigo didn't. We left the room, leaving behind the decorations, the tables with untouched food, the champagne glasses. An anniversary party turned into a crime scene. The ride to the hospital was silent. Enrique drove. Carla was in the passenger seat, looking out the window. I was in the back, watching the city lights pass by like blurry smudges. How had it come to this? At what point had my marriage become this? 12 years. 12 years thinking I knew the person who slept next to me. 12 years believing we shared a life. And it turns out that all that time she was drowning in secret debts, planning to hurt me, using my trust as a weapon. We arrived at the general hospital. The fluorescent lights of the emergency area hurt my eyes. The smell of disinfectant turned my stomach. I went to the reception desk. I'm looking for Rodrigo Vega. He was brought in about an hour ago for a severe allergic reaction. The receptionist checked her computer. Yes, he's in the observation room. Are you family? I'm his brother-in-law. She gave me a visitor's pass and pointed the way. I walked down the white hallways, following the signs until I reached a room with several beds, prepared by curtains. I found Rodrigo in the third bed. He was awake, hooked up to an 4-drip. His wrist was bandaged. His face still looked swollen, but much less than before. He could open his eyes completely. Now, when he saw me enter, he tried to smile. Brother-in-law, some party, huh? I sat in the chair next to his bed. I didn't know what to say. How do you explain to someone that your wife almost killed him by accident while trying to kill you? Rodrigo, I don't even know where to start. He raised his good hand to stop me. The police already explained everything to me, or at least the basics. My sister is a psycho. Apparently, I don't know if she's a psycho, but she's definitely a desperate woman who made terrible decisions. Rodrigo let out a bitter laugh that ended in a cough. Terrible decisions. What an elegant way to say she tried to poison you and ended up poisoning me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Rodrigo. If I had known, you had no way of knowing. I was the idiot who took the watch without asking. I thought you'd forgotten to wear it. I thought I was doing you a favor. I rubbed my face with my hands. The emotional exhaustion was starting to hit me. How do you feel? Like I was run over by a truck. The doctor says I had a severe anaphylactic reaction, that if the epinephrine had arrived 5 minutes later, I could have died from respiratory arrest. The words hit me like fists. 5 minutes. The difference between Rodrigo's life and death had been 5 minutes. The doctors analyzed the watch strap. Rodrigo continued. They found a very high concentration of nickel salts mixed with an adhesive polymer. Apparently, Elena researched how to maximize dermal absorption. Body heat and sweat would activate the reaction. The longer you wore it, the worse the damage would be. Oh my God. Yes. My sister became an amateur chemist to try and screw up your life and almost kill me in the process. Are you angry with her? Rodrigo looked at me with those eyes that still had a reddish tint from the swelling. Angry, Roberto. I'm furious, but I'm also devastated. She's my sister, the little girl I grew up with, the one who took care of me when our parents were at work, the one who defended me in school. And now she's this person who planned to hurt someone for money. I don't know how to process that. I don't know how to process it either. And I was married to her for 12 years. We were silent for a moment. All you could hear was the steady beeping of the machines, monitoring his vitals, and the distant conversations of nurses in the hallway. Are you going to press charges? Rodrigo asked. The police say I can. Attempted aggravated assault. Will you? Rodrigo sighed. I don't know. Technically, I'm the direct victim. I was the one who suffered the physical harm. But she's my sister. How can I do that to her? Rodrigo, she almost killed you. I know. Believe me, I know. Every time I breathe, I still feel pressure in my chest. Every time I look at my bandaged wrist, I remember the pain, but she's still my sister. I understood his conflict. It was the same conflict I felt. 12 years aren't easily erased. 12 years of memories, of shared moments, of a life built together. How do you reconcile that with betrayal? A nurse came in to check Rodrigo's for. How are you feeling, Mr. Vega? Better, my skin still burns, but I can breathe without any problem. That's a good sign. Dr. Fernanda will be in shortly to evaluate you again. If everything's okay, you can probably go home early tomorrow, although you'll have to come back for wound care and follow-up. The nurse left. Rodrigo adjusted his position in the bed carefully. You know the most ironic part of all this? He said, 3 months ago, Elena asked me to borrow $5,000. She told me it was to remodel the kitchen that you didn't want to spend on it, but she really needed it. I gave her the money without a second thought. What? Yes. Now I understand. It was probably to pay off some collector or to buy the materials for the poison watch. Who knows? The point is, if she had told me the truth about her debts, I would have helped her. Our parents would have helped her. Instead, she decided to plan this. She said she felt trapped, that I controlled all the money, that she couldn't ask me for help. And was it true? Did you control her financially? The question caught me by surprise. I don't think so. We had separate accounts and a joint account. She had access to the shared credit card. I never denied her money for reasonable expenses, but I did check the statements because someone had to. So, maybe it wasn't control, maybe it was responsibility, or maybe it was something in between. Maybe I was stricter than I thought, and she felt she couldn't talk to me. I don't know. Rodrigo, I don't know anything anymore. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Carla asking if I was okay. I replied that yes, I was with Rodrigo, that we'd see each other later. Your friends are here, Rodrigo asked. Yes, they brought me. I wasn't in any condition to drive. Good friends, the best. Rodrigo closed his eyes for a moment. He seemed exhausted. Can I ask you something? Sure. At any point during this week, when Elena was so insistent about the watch, did you think she might want to hurt you? I did. I really did. Not exactly. I thought something was wrong, that her behavior was strange. But I never imagined this. I guess I thought maybe she was having an affair, and the watch was part of some plan for me to look good in photos or something. Or that she was being controlling in a new way, but murder attempt, no? That never crossed my mind. And what made you decide not to wear it? Pure instinct. That morning, when I was about to put it on, something in my stomach told me not to. It wasn't rational. It was visceral, like when you know you shouldn't go into a place. But you don't know why. Your instinct saved your life. Yes, and it put yours at risk. If I had worn the watch like I was supposed to. Don't do that. Rodrigo interrupted me. Don't blame yourself for my decision to take it. I'm an adult. I saw a watch. I borrowed it. The consequences are Elena's responsibility, not yours. I nodded, though the guilt was still there, heavy in my chest. Dr. Fernanda came in at that moment. She was a woman in her 40s, hair tied back, a serious but kind expression. Mr. Vega, I see you're awake and talking. That's excellent. May I check your wrist? Rodrigo extended his arm. The doctor carefully removed the bandage. The skin underneath was red with marks that looked like chemical burns. Some areas had scabs where the blisters had burst. It's healing well, considering the severity of the exposure. I'm going to prescribe a cream with corticosteroids and antibiotics to prevent infection. Also antihistamines to reduce systemic inflammation. No scratching, even if it itches. That will only make the scars worse. Scars, Rodrigo asked. It's likely there will be some permanent marks. The reaction was very aggressive. The nickel in that concentration caused superficial necrosis in some areas, but with proper treatment, they should fade over time. Rodrigo looked at his wrist. Great. A permanent reminder of the time my sister tried to kill my brother-in-law and got me in the process. The doctor said nothing, but her expression showed she'd already been briefed on the circumstances. I want you to come back in 3 days for a checkup, the doctor continued. If you see any signs of infection, spreading redness, pus, fever, come to the ER immediately. Understood. Got it. The doctor turned to me. Are you the husband of the person who tampered with the object? The question threw me off. Yes, I'm Roberto. The detectives will want to speak with you as well. They left their card at reception. This is now an active criminal investigation. I know. I already spoke with the police at the scene. Good. Take care of yourselves. And Mr. Vega, rest. Your body has just been through a severe trauma. She left, leaving us alone again. An active criminal investigation, Rodrigo repeated. My sister's going to prison, isn't she? Probably, depending on if we press charges, how she pleads, a lot of things. Do you want her to go to prison? I didn't know how to answer. Part of me wanted justice. I wanted her to pay for what she did, for the betrayal, for the danger, for almost killing her own brother. But another part of me, the part that still remembered 12 years of laughter and scenes and movies on the couch, that part didn't want to see her destroyed. I don't know, I finally admitted. I don't know what I want. I left the hospital around 11 at night. Carla and Enrique were waiting for me in the waiting room. They stood up as soon as they saw me. How's Rodrigo? Carla asked. Better, he'll have scars, but he'll be fine. They're letting him out tomorrow. And how are you? Enrique asked. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like I'm in a movie, like this can't be real. It's understandable. Do you want us to take you home? Home, the house I shared with Elena, the house where she had planned all this, the house that no longer felt like a home. I don't want to go there yet. Can you take me to a hotel? Don't even think about it, said Carla, taking my arm. You're coming to our house. We have a guest room. You're not going to be alone tonight. I didn't have the energy to argue. I nodded and followed them to the parking lot. The drive was silent. Again, I looked out the window, watching the city at night, couples walking hand in hand, families leaving restaurants, people living normal lives while mine was falling apart. We arrived at Carla and Enrique's house, a cozy home in a quiet neighborhood. We went inside, and Carla immediately went to prepare the guest room, while Enrique poured me a whiskey. Here, you need this. Thanks. I sat on the couch, took a long sip. The liquid burned my throat, and that felt good. It reminded me I was still alive, that I could still feel something. Enrique sat across from me. Do you need to talk, or would you rather be silent? I don't know what I need. That's fine. Whatever you need, we're here. Carla came back with clean sheets. The room's ready. Are you hungry? Wanting to make something? No, I couldn't eat anything right now. At least some water. You need to hydrate. She brought me a large glass of water. I drank it all without realizing how thirsty I was. The police said, "What's going to happen now?" Carla asked, sitting next to me. They arrested Elena. She's in custody. Tomorrow or the day after there'll be a hearing. It depends on whether Rodrigo and I press formal charges. Is there any doubt that you should? Enrique asked. She tried to poison you. She almost killed her own brother. I know, but it's complicated. Complicated, Roberto. She could have killed you. There's nothing complicated about that. 12 years, Enrique. 12 years of marriage. I can't just turn that off like a switch. Carla put her hand on mine. No one expects you to, but you also can't let guilt or nostalgia stop you from doing the right thing. Elena made choices, terrible choices, and those choices have consequences. She said she felt trapped, that I controlled her. And that justifies trying to disable you for insurance money, Enrique asked. Roberto, listen to yourself. You're looking for reasons to excuse her. I'm not excusing her. I'm just trying to understand how we got here. You got here because she chose to lie instead of asking for help. She chose to hurt you instead of being honest. That's the reality. I knew Enrique was right. I knew in my head, but my heart was still processing the betrayal. I still couldn't fully accept that the woman I had shared my life with had wanted to destroy me. My phone rang. It was an unknown number. I hesitated before answering. Hello, Mr. Roberto Mendez. It was a female voice, professional. Yes, this is he. I'm Agent Teresa Ruiz from the Criminal Investigations Division. I need you to come to the station tomorrow for a formal statement. Can you be there at 10 in the morning? Yes, I can. Excellent. Bring any documentation related to the life insurance you mentioned. We'll also need access to your bank accounts and credit cards to verify your wife's debts. I can ask you what's going to happen with Elena. There was a pause. She's in custody. She'll have her arraignment tomorrow. The prosecutor is considering several charges, including attempted aggravated murder, depending on the full results of the toxicology analysis. Attempted murder. The words sounded so severe, so final. How much time could she face? If she's convicted of all charges, we could be talking about 10 to 20 years. But that will depend on the prosecutor and whether she accepts a plea deal. 20 years. Elena could spend 20 years in prison. I understand. I'll be there tomorrow at 10. Thank you, Mr. Mendez. Have a good night. I hung up and looked at Carla and Enrique. Attempted aggravated murder. Up to 20 years in prison. Oh my God, Carla whispered. She did it. Roberto, said Enrique. She chose this path. I know, but knowing that doesn't make it hurt any less. I finished my whiskey in one gulp. The heat of the alcohol spread through my body, but it couldn't warm the cold I felt inside. You should rest, Carla said. It's been a horrible day. You need to sleep. I don't think I can sleep. At least try. The room's ready. There are clean clothes from Enrique you can use. Towels in the bathroom, whatever you need. I stood up from the couch. My legs felt like lead. Thanks for everything. I don't know what I'd do without you. That's what friends do, said Enrique, hugging me. We'll be here as long as you need. I went up to the guest room. It was small but cozy. A clean bed, light curtains, a lamp on the nightstand. I sat on the bed and took off my shoes. My suit still smelled of the cologne I'd bought especially for tonight. A night that was supposed to be a celebration, 12 years together. And now it had all ended in the worst possible way. I changed into the clothes Carla had left. I got under the covers. I turned off the light. In the darkness, everything felt heavier. The thoughts came in waves. Memories of Elena smiling, Elena laughing, Elena sleeping next to me. All those images now tainted by what she had done. At what point did she become someone capable of this? Or had she always been like this? And I just didn't see it. How many other lies were there? How many other debts? How many other secrets? My phone vibrated. Another message, this time from a number I recognized, Elena's parents. Roberto, we heard what happened. We don't know what to say. We're devastated. Rodrigo, is he okay? Are you okay? We need to talk. I didn't reply. I didn't know what to say to them. How do you tell your wife's parents that their daughter tried to kill you? Another message came. This one from my mom. Son, Carla told me everything. I'm coming tomorrow on the first flight. Don't be alone. I love you. At least I had that. I had people who loved me, people who hadn't betrayed me. I closed my eyes, trying to sleep, but every time I did, I saw Elena's face when she saw Rodrigo with the watch. That moment of absolute panic, that moment she realized her plan had gone terribly wrong. Was she scared for her brother or just scared of being caught? Did she ever really love me? Or was I just a means to an end? The questions consumed me. I tossed and turned in bed, looking at the clock every few minutes, midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Finally, around 3, exhaustion won. I fell asleep and dreamed of watches, thousands of watches, all ticking at different times, all ringing at the same time. And in the middle of them all, Elena smiling, asking me over and over, "Are you going to wear the watch? Are you going to wear the watch?" I woke up at the start at 6 in the morning sweating, my heart racing. The dawn light was coming through the window. It was Sunday, the day after what should have been the best night of our anniversary. And instead, it was the day I would have to decide if I would send my wife to prison. I got up, took a long shower with almost scalding water, as if I could wash away everything that had happened, as if I could turn back time, but I couldn't. Time only moved forward, and I had to move forward with it. I went downstairs. Carla was already awake, making coffee. Good morning. Did you get any sleep? A little. I made strong coffee, and there's bread for toast. If you just want coffee, that's fine. She poured me a cup. I took it black, no sugar. I needed the caffeine kick. What time do you have to go to the station? At 10. Enrique can take you if you want. I'd appreciate that. We sat in silence for a moment, drinking coffee, watching the sun finish rising. Do you know what you're going to do yet? Carla asked softly. No, but I guess I'll have to decide soon. I arrived at the police station at 10 sharp. Enrique dropped me off at the entrance with a supportive pat on the shoulder and a promise to wait for me outside. Agent Teresa Ruiz met me in the lobby. She was a woman of about 35, short hair, a sharp gaze, the kind of person who doesn't miss a detail. Mr. Mendez, thanks for coming. Follow me, please. Mio, through a long hallway to an interrogation room, or at least it looked like one. Gray walls, a metal table, a recorder in the corner. Sit down. Do you want water, coffee? Water is fine. She left and returned with a bottle of water. She sat across from me and opened a folder full of documents. I'm going to record this conversation for the record. Do you agree? Yes. She pressed a button on the recorder. Sunday, February 3rd, 10:05 a.m. Mr. Roberto Mendez is present for a formal statement regarding case number 2457. Mr. Mendez, can you confirm your relationship with the accused, Elena Vega de Mendez? She's my wife. We've been married for 12 years. And can you describe the events that led to the incident last night? I took a deep breath and began to tell the whole story again, from the gift of the watch to Elena's strange questions, from my decision not to wear it to the moment Rodrigo walked into the room wearing it. Every detail, every conversation, every feeling that something was wrong. Agent Ruiz took notes as she listened. Occasionally, she would interrupt me to ask specific questions. At any point during that week, did Elena explicitly mention the life insurance? Not directly, but 3 months ago, she asked me to sign some papers. She said it was an update to our insurance. I trusted her and signed without reading them completely. Now, I understand she probably increased the disability coverage. We're going to need copies of that policy. I can get them. Did Elena have access to your bank accounts? We had separate accounts and a joint account. She had a debit card for the joint account. I deposited money there monthly for household expenses. How much? $2,000 a month. And she never mentioned financial problems. Never. If she had them, she hid them perfectly. Agent Ruiz took several papers from her folder and slid them towards me. They were bank statements, credit cards, and Elena's name that I had never seen. We found these during the preliminary investigation. 5 different credit cards, all maxed out. The total debt is $214,000. I looked at the numbers, the dates, the charges. Clothes, restaurants, spas, trips we never took together, money spent on things I never saw. How is it possible she accumulated so much without me noticing? The cards are only in her name. The statements went to a P.O. box she rented specifically for this. It was very deliberate, Mr. Mendez. She made sure you had no way of finding out. I felt like an idiot. How did I not notice? How did I live with someone for 12 years and not see the signs? We also found this in her search history. Agent Ruiz showed me screenshots from her computer, Google searches, how to enhance an allergic reaction to nickel, symptoms of metal poisoning, dermal absorption time of metal salts. Life insurance policies that cover permanent disability. It was real. It was all real. Elena had researched, planned, calculated every detail. The searches began 4 months ago. The agent continued, just after she signed the insurance increase papers. This wasn't an impulse. It was premeditated. How serious is this legally? Very serious. The prosecutor is considering multiple charges. Attempted aggravated murder, insurance fraud, administration of a noxious substance with intent to cause harm, aggravated assault against her brother. If she's convicted of everything, we're easily talking about 15 to 25 years in prison. 25 years. Elena would be 70 when she got out. And if she takes a plea deal, it depends on what she's willing to admit, and if you as the victims are willing to accept a deal. But even in the best-case scenario for her, we're talking a minimum of 5 to 7 years. As she said, anything has she pleaded. Her lawyer advised her not to speak. But at this morning's hearing, she pleaded not guilty. Not guilty, but she admitted everything last night. Admissions under emotional stress are complicated. Her lawyer can argue she was in shock, that she didn't understand her rights, that she was coerced. That's why we need your formal statement, and we need to know if you're going to press charges. There it was, the question I'd been avoiding. What if I don't press charges? The state can still proceed based on the charges from Rodrigo Vega, who was directly injured. But your testimony as the intended victim would make the case much stronger. Without you, Elena's lawyer can argue it was an accident, that she had no intention of hurting her brother, that the watch was a poorly made gift with no criminal intent. But we have her search history, the credit cards, the insurance, circumstantial. A good lawyer can create reasonable doubt. They can say she was researching out of curiosity, that the debts don't prove criminal intent, that the insurance was a normal financial decision. Without your testimony saying she admitted the watch was specifically for you, the case weakens. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath. I felt the weight of the decision crushing me. Can I think about it? You have 24 hours. After that, the prosecutor needs an answer to proceed with a formal indictment. I understand. There's something else you should know. Agent Ruiz took out another document. We found emails between Elena and a man named Arturo Delgado. Messages that suggest a relationship. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. An affair. The messages are ambiguous, but there are references to future plans, to when all this is over, to starting over. He knew about the plan. We're still investigating, but it's possible he did. Or at least he knew she wanted to get out of the marriage and needed money to do it. An affair. On top of everything else, there was another person, someone else who knew, someone who maybe encouraged her, who maybe helped her. Who is he? A co-worker of Elena's. He works at the same company, 32 years old, single. We're already looking for him for questioning. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Mr. Mendez, I know this is a lot to process. A lot. It was a damn tsunami of information, each revelation worse than the last. Anything else I should know? Not for now, but the investigation is ongoing. If we find more, we'll contact you. She stood up. I did the same, though my legs could barely hold me. One more thing, Agent Ruiz said before I left. I know this is difficult, but I need you to understand something. Elena didn't make a mistake. She didn't act on impulse. This was calculated, planned, executed with precision. If you had worn that watch, you could be in the hospital right now. Or worse, don't let guilt or nostalgia cloud that. I know, really, because I've seen many cases like this, victims who protect their abusers because they can't accept that someone they loved intentionally hurt them. Don't be one of those victims. Mr. Mendez, I left the station feeling like the world was spinning. Enrique saw me and ran over. How'd it go? Are you okay? No, I'm not okay, Enrique. There was another person. Elena was having an affair. What? I told him everything as we walked to the car. The emails are Arturo Delgado. The plans to start over. That started Enrique. But he stopped. I'm sorry. I know she's still your wife. Not anymore. I don't know who that person is anymore. The Elena I knew would never have done this. Or maybe she would. Maybe I just never really knew her. We got in the car. Enrique drove in silence for a while. Are you going to press charges? He finally asked. I don't know. Agent Ruiz says without my testimony, the case weakens. Elena could get a lesser sentence or even be found not guilty. And you'd let that happen? I don't want to be responsible for sending someone to prison for 25 years. She wanted to be responsible for disabling you for life or killing you. Don't get twisted. Roberto, if that watch had done what she expected, you wouldn't be here having this conversation. He was right, I knew it. But still, I need to talk to Rodrigo. I need to know what he's going to do. Then let's go to the hospital. Rodrigo was being discharged when we arrived. A nurse was explaining how to apply the cream to his wrist while he nodded distractedly. When he saw me come in, his expression brightened a little. Brother-in-law, just in time. They're letting me go. How do you feel? Like I was hit by a train, but better than last night. The nurse finished her instructions and left. Rodrigo put on his shirt carefully, avoiding moving his injured arm too much. I need to talk to you, I said. Me too. Do you want to go somewhere or talk here? Here's fine. Enrique excused himself and went out to give us privacy. Rodrigo sat on the hospital bed, and I sat in the chair next to it. I went to the station this morning. I started to give my formal statement, and the agent in charge showed me a lot of things. Statements from cards Elena hid. Her internet search history, planning all of this and something else. What else? Elena was having an affair with a guy named Arturo Delgado. There are emails between them talking about future plans, about starting over when everything was finished. Rodrigo was quiet for a moment, then let out a bitter laugh. Of course there was another guy. Of course. Because poisoning your husband for insurance money wasn't bad enough. There had to be infidelity too. I'm sorry. I know she's your sister. My sister ceased to exist for me the moment I saw what she did to my wrist. What she would have done to me if they hadn't injected me with epinephrine in time. He looked at his bandage. Do you know what the doctor told me this morning? That if the reaction had lasted 10 more minutes, my throat would have completely closed up. I would have suffocated to death. That's the reality. Roberto, your wife, my sister, almost killed me. I know. So why do you seem so conflicted about pressing charges? Because it was 12 years of my life. Because I can't just erase all of that as if it never existed. No one is asking you to erase it. They're asking you to accept what happened and do something about it. Are you going to press charges? Rodrigo looked at me intently. I already did. This morning, I called Agent Ruiz from the hospital and told her I want Elena to face the full consequences of what she did. You already decided. It was easy to decide when I woke up at 4 in the morning, unable to breathe properly. When I looked in the mirror and saw I was still swollen, when I changed the bandage and saw the marks that will probably stay with me forever. His voice broke a little. She did this, Roberto, and she would have done it to you without remorse. So why should we protect her? I don't know if it's protecting her or just not wanting to be the person who destroys her. She destroyed herself. You're just deciding whether you're going to let the consequences come or not. I rubbed my face with my hands. I was exhausted. Physically and emotionally exhausted. Agent Ruiz says without my testimony the case weakens, that Elena could argue it was an accident, that she had no criminal intent, and you're going to let her get away with it. I don't know, Rodrigo. I honestly don't know. Rodrigo stood up from the bed, came over to me, and put his good hand on my shoulder. I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to listen carefully. I appreciate you. You were a good brother-in-law all these years. You always treated me with respect. You were always kind to my family. But if you decide not to press charges, if you decide to protect Elena after all this, I'm going to lose all the respect I have for you. His words hit me hard. It's not fair for you to put that on me. It's not fair. You know it's not fair? That I almost died from a plan that wasn't even aimed at me. That I have to live with these scars because my sister decided money was more important than her husband's life. That's not fair, Roberto. You're right. I'm sorry. I don't want your apology. I want you to do the right thing. He left the room, leaving me alone with my thoughts. I looked out the hospital window. The sky was gray. It looked like it was going to rain. My phone vibrated. It was a message from an unknown number. Roberto, it's Elena. Now let me make one call, and I got a friend to send this to you. Please. I need to talk to you. I need to explain everything. Nothing was as it seems. I love you. I always loved you. Please come see me. I read the message 3 times. Every word made me angrier. Nothing was as it seems. How else could it be? She planned to hurt me, research how to do it, hid debts. Had an affair, what part of that wasn't as it seemed? I love you, I always loved you. If that was love, I'd rather be hated. I didn't reply. I blocked the number. I left the room. Enrique was in the hallway on the phone. When he saw me, he hung up. Everything okay? No, nothing is okay. But I think I finally know what I have to do. What's that? I'm going to press charges. I'm going to testify. I'm going to make sure Elena faces what she did. Enrique nodded. I think that's the right decision. It doesn't feel right. It feels horrible. But it's what has to be done. I called Agent Ruiz from the hospital parking lot. Agent Ruiz, this is Roberto Mendez. Mr. Mendez, have you made a decision? Yes. I'm going to press charges. I want to testify. I want Elena to face the full consequences. Understood. I'll inform the prosecutor. He'll get in touch with you to prepare the case. When would the trial be? That depends on many factors. If Elena accepts a plea deal, it could be in weeks. If it goes to a full trial, we could be talking months. And in the meantime, she'll remain in custody. The judge denied bail this morning, considering her a flight risk given the insurance fraud attempt. Good, are you sure about this? Mr. Mendez? Once we file the formal charges, there's no going back. I'm sure. Perfect. I'll send you an email with the next steps. And Mr. Mendez, yes, you're doing the right thing. I know it doesn't feel like it now, but you are. I hung up, took a deep breath. It felt like I had crossed a bridge and burned it behind me. There was no going back. Enrique took me back to his house. Carla was waiting with hot food. You have to eat something, she insisted. You haven't eaten anything since yesterday. I tried to eat, but everything tasted like cardboard. I managed to finish half a sandwich before giving up. Have you told your family yet? Carla asked. My mom's coming tomorrow. My brothers already know. They're all in shock, and Elena's parents. I haven't spoken to them. I don't know what to tell them. You'll have to eventually. I know, but not today. I've had enough for today. My phone rang. It was the insurance lawyer. Mr. Mendez, I'm Gail Contreras, legal representative for your insurance company. We've been informed of what happened, and I need to inform you that your policy is under review for possible fraud. I understand. We also need a copy of the police report and any documentation related to the criminal case. I'll get them to you. One more thing. Given the nature of this incident, we recommend you consider an immediate divorce. As long as you remain married to Mrs. Elena, she technically has rights to any insurance payout. Divorce. Another word I never thought would apply to my life. Can you recommend a lawyer? I'll send you some names by email. Thank you. I hung up and looked at Carla and Enrique. I have to get divorced. I have to hire a lawyer. I have to testify in a trial. I have to rebuild my entire life. One step at a time, Carla said. You don't have to do everything today. When then? Tomorrow. The day after tomorrow. At some point, I'll have to face all of this. And you will. But you don't have to do it alone. She was right. I wasn't alone. I had friends. I had family. I had people who supported me. But still, deep down, I felt completely alone because the person who was supposed to be by my side, the person who promised to love me for better or for worse, had been the one who tried to destroy me. That night, lying in the guest room, I thought about all the times Elena had told me, I love you. How many of those times were a lie? When did it stop being real? Or maybe it was never real. Maybe I just saw what I wanted to see. I closed my eyes. Tomorrow my mother would come. Tomorrow I would talk to lawyers. Tomorrow I would begin the process of undoing 12 years of my life. But tonight, I just wanted to forget. I just wanted all of this to be a nightmare I could wake up from. It wasn't, and I would have to live with that. 6 months later, I was standing in front of the courthouse. The trial was over. The verdict was in. Elena was found guilty of attempted aggravated murder, insurance fraud, and administration of a noxious substance with intent to cause serious harm. The sentence, 18 years in prison. 18 years. Rodrigo was by my side. His wrist had healed, though the scars remained. Permanent marks of what his own sister had done to him. How do you feel? He asked me. I don't know. Empty, I guess. During the trial, the whole truth had come to light. The debts Elena had accumulated through compulsive shopping, the affair with Arturo Delgado, who turned out to know about the plan but did nothing to stop it. The internet searches showing months of meticulous planning, the messages where she told Arturo, soon we'll be free, I just need this to work. Elena tried to argue she never meant to kill me, that she only wanted a strong allergic reaction, but experts testified that the concentration of nickel she used could have caused multiple organ failure, that if I had worn that watch for the entire party, as she had hoped, I probably would have died. Her lawyer tried to argue mental disorder, depression, financial anxiety, but the jury didn't buy it. The evidence was too clear, too premeditated. When the judge read the sentence, Elena cried. She looked at me across the courtroom with those eyes I once loved and said, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Roberto. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. Elena's parents were devastated. Her mother couldn't stop crying. Her father avoided my gaze, ashamed. After the verdict, they approached Rodrigo and me. Forgive us, said her mother. We didn't know. We never imagined she was capable of something like this. No one knew. I replied, not even me. And I lived with her for 12 years. Are you going to visit her? Her father asked. No, I don't think I can do that. They understood. They walked away. Two people broken by what their daughter had done. The divorce was finalized 2 weeks after the verdict. It was quick, clean. She didn't fight anything. She couldn't for prison. Anyway, I got the house. Everything. She was left with only the guilt and 18 years of her life. I sold the house a month later. I couldn't live there. Every corner held memories. Every room was a reminder of the lie my marriage had been. I bought a small apartment in another part of the city. I started over. Therapy twice a week, exercise every morning, work, friends, routine. Slowly, very slowly, I began to feel human again. Rodrigo and I became closer. We saw each other every week for dinner. We never talked about Elena. That chapter was closed for both of us. Carla and Enrique included me in their family plans. Sunday dinners, movies, picnics. They reminded me there were still good people in the world, people who don't betray you. One afternoon, 6 months after the trial, I received a letter. It was from Elena. I held it in my hands for a long time before deciding whether to open it or not. I finally did. Roberto, I know I have no right to write to you. I know you probably hate this letter, but I need you to know something. I need you to understand that I never wanted things to end this way. I was lost, scared, desperate. I made horrible decisions that hurt the people I loved most. I don't expect your forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just hope that one day you can remember that there were real moments between us. Moments when I was the person you thought I was. Those moments existed. Not all of it was a lie. I wish you the best, Roberto. Always. Elena. I read the letter 3 times, then I folded it and put it in a drawer. I wasn't going to reply. There was nothing to say. She had 18 years to think about her decisions. I had the rest of my life to learn to trust again. That night, I sat on the balcony of my new apartment with a glass of wine. I looked at the city, the lights, life going on as always. I thought about that watch, about how a simple object almost cost me my life, about how my instincts saved me, about how Rodrigo paid the price that was meant for me. I thought about Elena, about the woman I thought I knew, about the woman she really was, about how both versions had existed simultaneously without me knowing. I thought about the 12 years, the laughs, the happy moments, the quiet nights. Had they been real, or had it all been an act? I'd probably never know, and maybe it was okay not to know. Maybe the important thing was that I survived, that Rodrigo survived, that we both had a second chance to live our lives without the poison of her intentions. I took a sip of wine. The night air was cool, pleasant. For the first time in months, I felt something like peace. It wasn't happiness. Not yet, but it was a start, and sometimes a start is all you need. I looked at my wrist. My old Seiko was still there. The watch my father gave me, the watch I had chosen to wear that day, instead of Elena's poison gift. That watch had saved my life without me knowing it. I smiled, a small but real smile. Life goes on sometimes in ways you never expect. Sometimes you survive things that should have destroyed you. And when you survive, you have 2 choices. Stay trapped in what happened or move forward towards what can be. I chose to move forward. I finished my glass of wine, went inside the apartment, closed the door behind me. Tomorrow would be another day, another step forward, another chance to rebuild what was broken. And this time I would do it right. This time I would trust my gut from the beginning. This time I would live for me,